rough first semester, right? So but this meeting tonight is really going to be an eye opener for everyone. So let's go ahead and share the meeting link with our friends. Let's invite everyone. Let's invite everyone. Let's invite everyone. Let's invite everyone. So once again, you are all welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for joining tonight. It's really going to be a great session for everyone. So you are welcome. You are welcome. 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 So you are welcome once again. Alright, so let's get started. So for those that are just interacting with this channel for the very first time, so this is Peter Academy, a channel that focuses on providing tutorial videos on chemistry topics, especially for undergraduate university students. So if you would recall, in your first semester, so we're able to come up with a number of tutorial videos to help you, and it was good to see many of the success stories that were coming thereafter. It's many people saying that the videos really helped them, so that was the encouragement that was needed to continue. So I really appreciate every one of us. So if you're just interacting with this channel for the very first time, you're welcome. Kindly click on the subscribe button to get notified anytime a new video is being released. So this is a new semester for everyone in the University of Ibadan. It started probably just 2-3 weeks now. So but I can tell you that in the coming days, more tutorial videos will be provided, will be released to help you with your chemistry courses. So to help you. So you're all welcome once again. Thank you very much. So here is a brief introduction about myself. So I'm Ajibodu Peter. So I'm a BSc graduate of Industrial Chemistry, Department of Chemistry, University of Ibadan. I finished with a first class honors. So I was also a class representative while I was a student in the University of Ibadan. It was a great thing to do. I had the opportunity of mediating between lecturers and the students then. So it was a great opportunity for me to like also relate with people as well. So and I'm pretty much sure we definitely would have some of you on this call tonight asking how could it be possible for you to be a class rep and still do well in your academics. Well, it boils down to your determination actually, but we'll definitely touch a few on how to actually go about it in the meeting tonight. So I was also a recipient of the Dean's Roll of Honor, Faculty of Science, University of Ibadan twice. So I was a recipient of the Sigma Club Scholarship in my third year. So I was also a recipient of the Ibadan Descendants of Greater Washington Scholarship in 2023. So I was this particular one that I'm about to say really excites me so much because being the first winner of this great competition in the University of Ibadan is really something to cherish actually. So my team together with Philip, who was at the point the vice president of microbiology department, he has also graduated now, and Shegun also in IPE then. So we formed a team that presented a project at the Indotech competition, the first edition of it in 2021, and it was great to see that we came first in the competition. So the Indotech competition is definitely going bigger year by year, so you can be sure it's really a very wonderful competition. So I'm also a tutor on YouTube here, so you can always check out on my channel for tutorial videos as well. So currently I'm programming. Although I started with C, but I'm currently programming coding for AI machine learning with Python. You can always check my progress on Instagram. So you can also always check my GitHub account. Although recently I've not deployed some of my recent projects. So, but you can always do well to check out on some of the amazing project there if you are into that. Okay, so let's get started. So the order of events for tonight, so we're going to have a talk on how best to approach chemistry 102. So it's basically going to be like a 2 session for me and another session for Mr. Gordon Obas. Although my 2 sessions will be interwoven together, it's going to come together. Like I'm going to explain how you can actually do well in your chemistry 102 from my own personal experience, right? So yeah, I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about second semester generally in the University of Ibadan. So Coach Godwin Obas is also going to come up to give about 10 minutes to talk about how you can actually also be successful in the University of Ibadan. Everyone wants you to be successful, right? So now you need to put in the great effort. You need to like jot everything down that will be said in the meeting tonight. So we're going to have a question and answer section. So all you need to do is to write down your question down and paste them on the chat box. They will definitely be attended to, right? So the expectation is that the meeting does not go beyond 1 hour, probably 50, 40, or 45 minutes, but it will definitely not exceed 1 hour. Hopefully, yeah, I got grace. So the next thing here, okay, so disclaimer, it's important to note that everything I'll be saying here are simply based on my own personal experience as a student in the University of Ibadan, right? So they are basically what I experienced while I was a student there. So so now let's get started. So chemistry 102, I'm pretty much sure you are taking 1 or 2 classes on this particular course now in the University of Ibadan. So chemistry 102 was formerly chemistry 176 and 126. Actually, nothing was chemistry 102 before. It used to be 2 separate courses, chemistry 176 and chemistry 126. So chemistry 176 used to be organic chemistry, introduction to organic chemistry, and it used to be taught by, during my time it was taught by four lecturers, in fact 4 professors actually. So you could actually imagine the level of work that may be expected of you from that particular course, right? So we also had chemistry 126, although during my time it was just 2 lecturers, right? And I can tell you majority like a great number of people actually failed this particular, not failed actually, but a great number of people didn't have an A in this particular course. So it was actually like something you really need to like be so well prepared for, like the course you really have to be well prepared for. So now that you're having a merger of these 2 courses in one course now, so it's really very important for you to be very strategic, very intentional about what you do, so that you'll be able to like have the best out of it. You'll be able to like get good grade from this particular course. And it's also important to note, I think the number of lecture hours is even still the same, even though it's now a merger. So you can be expected that definitely you also have to read some you have to prepare your mind to read some of the slides on your own. Even if you are going to have classes, definitely you have to read on your own as well. So that one is indisputable, right? So basically 2 lecturers taking 2 different courses being merged together now implies more workload, so you have to be prepared. So there's a need for a better preparation for this merger, and that's one of the reasons why we are having this meeting tonight. So another thing I also observe, I know that for second semester many people, for first semester rather, many people actually did not do well, probably because you were just being introduced to the university system. So many people definitely might probably had a very poor performance in the first semester and are hoping to like have a remontada second semester. So it's actually very possible for you to do so well in second semester, but it still boils down to your plan, to what you actually have on ground, what the structure you have. Like you need to have good structure, because you can't just it can't just happen like you doing things better cannot just happen. In fact, you repeating the same step that the same effort that you put into fourth semester that resulted into bad performance, you can't do that again and expect a different result, right? So I know many of you really want to like have a good result. You want to impress your parents as well. You even want to impress yourself. And probably we have some people that even put in great effort, but one or two things, probably because they didn't get the right orientation on how to go about the university, how to go about their test, their exam, their courses. They end up still still failing, right? So it's important that regardless of what situation, what cycle of situation you find yourself, this meeting is really going to be a great one for you. So for many departments actually, the second semester used to be of lesser workload. So the workload used to be a bit lesser for some departments in the second semester, but however also for some departments it used to be more. So regardless of the situation, it's also important that you have good structure on how to go about the second semester. And now it's even very important to note that second semester in the University of Ibadan is always eventful, like it's always full of activities, full of social events as well. So one, at the point there will be sporting activities that would involve a lot of you. There's going to be there's even a debating competition. I know you might want to say that, oh, I do not play sports, oh, I do not participate in debating competitions, so I might not be really affected. Well, let me tell you that departmental event is also going to hold, even faculty event will also hold, and you can't also escape this if you stay on campus. All week is going to come, so there's almost no way you can't you won't be directly impacted by all of these activities. But the best response would be that you actually make yourself prepared for all of these activities. Even while they are going on, you are already prepared for what is to come, right? So it's going to be an eventful semester, a lot of elections as well. So but then you need to plan your time. You need to have a good structure to for your time. You need to have a proper time management, right? So let's continue. So now, how do you approach the second semester? So these approaches, this method are based on my own personal. I'm going to share my own personal experience while I also explain these approaches, right? So you need to start reading now. I know this statement, reading now, might actually sound like a recursive statement to you. Like already, some of you probably have already started reading now, and maybe some of you are still looking at, oh, once they announce the test date, once they announce the exam date, I'm going to start. But let me tell you let me tell you the truth. You just need to start now. You need to start reading now. If you really want to become something great in the university system, like you want to come out with a very great result, you need to start reading now. You need to start reading now. Yeah, you actually need to start reading now. There's no fluke about. There's no corner ways to it. Actually, you need to start reading now. You can't just come with the mentality of your secondary school. No, I know some of you probably in your secondary school, it's very easy to pass tests and maybe the exam by only just crash reading few days to exam. But I can tell you, in the university, how do you expect to read even up to 700 slides combined of different courses together? How do you expect to read everything in just 2-3 days? No wonder some people would read and they complain that they do not remember actually. So you need to start reading now. It takes intentional effort, so you need to take this intentional effort now. So I would bring it back to my own personal experience while I was in the university. I could remember that while we resumed, then it was during the COVID-19, immediately after the COVID. So a lot of lectures were taken virtually, were taken online. Even though we were on campus that period, we were in hostel, like we were on campus. Many of our, or virtually all of our classes were still virtual. They were virtual classes. So for me, it gave me the opportunity to plan my time well. I know that you might want to say that, oh, your classes is even now virtual, even when it's even now physical. Even now when it's physical, you still need to have a good plan on how to read. So you need to start reading now. So during our time, during those period, I made a determination. Then I used to go to the KDL library every single day. Like I start from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the evening. Then after eating as well, I continue to read. I read probably to like 10 p.m. and then I rest for the next day again. So it was much like a loop for me. It was much like a something I was repeating every single day. I attend even my classes. I take them inside the library. I just plug in my earpiece and take the class. And after the class, I continue back to my notes, my lecture notes, and start reading. So you need to start reading now. You really need to start reading now. You can't just say one is exam period you start to read. No, let me show you. I'm going to show you in the next slide why you actually need to start reading now. So one of the reasons why you actually need to start reading now is that it will give you ample of time to read your slide over and over again. So let me say this at this point. Many a times I used to see some of my friends like that even say personally, oh Peter, I've been trying to read these concepts but I'm not understanding it. So many times people just tend to say, oh, this person has been destined to read once and understand once. But the truth is that many a times you won't get 100% of what is in the material when you read just once. You won't get everything perfectly. So this is the reason why you need to read over and over again. Now imagine someone that has read more than 3 times. He has scaled through the different how do I put it? He has scaled through the different levels of learning that particular slide or material. So it's very important for you to read your slide over and over for mastery. During my own time, like I can tell you, for example, chemistry 176, I didn't read it less than 5 times, like read it completely less than 5 times. It was up to, or even I think even more than 5 times actually, because reading over and over again will make you understand the old everything in the slide. I can even tell you, even the exam, I can always scroll through my slide in the exam hall. I can always scroll through my slide because I already know, I already had a mental picture of what is there, and I already understood everything there. So sometimes when you read at once, you won't understand everything at once, right? But always have the intentional, always have the mindset of going back to it, read over and over again. So, and you shouldn't read today and that particular slide takes you about 3-4 weeks again to go back to it. I can tell you, you might have to start again from ground zero, although not applicable in some of the cases, but most times you may end up starting to read over and over again. So it's really very important that you master this art of reading now. Like you need to read now. And another reason why you need to read now is because of the shortness of the semester. Alright, so the semester is basically short. It's full of events. It's going to be an ethic one actually. It's going to be full of different activities, social activities, academic activities as well. So you need to be wise. And because of the fact also that chemistry 102 is now 2 different courses combined into one, and I think the lecture hours is even not increased. So you really need to start reading now, because a time may come that you'll be bombarded with a lot of slides. You have a lot of slides to read. So if you do not prepare yourself now, that person, not you, but that person might get overwhelmed at that point. So it's really very important that you start to prepare yourself very well now. So another point is that you have to master the habit of solving practice questions. Now, when I graduated, during my over the time I spent in the University of Ibadan, I noticed that sometimes many people say they read. You see many people sleeping in the library, many people reading for days on end, but yet they won't be able to show anything for it. Like the results would not tally with the great effort they put into reading. So most of the time, the difference is always that we have some people, they just read little, they manage their time well and just read they read and then they solve practice questions. And we have some people, they just keep reading anyhow without even practicing, and then they felt they've covered everything in the slide, but meanwhile they are only limited to the kind of questions they find in the slide. But when they are now confronted with a modification of that particular question, they begin to fumble. They become disorganized. So many a times the difference between two different between great achievers and those that struggle to have a good grade are actually because they is actually this particular second point, practicing past question. And one of the reasons why I came up with the idea of solving practice questions, like practice questions on this channel, is just like because based on my personal experience, I know that many a times questions are repeated, although it may not come in word to word actually, but I can tell you, when you practice enough questions, you prepare yourself to different variants of that question, to different form in which that question can come out. So it's really very nice that you master the habit of solving practice questions. You have to start solving questions. When you read, if you have not solved questions, just assume you've not well prepared. Assume you've not well prepared. But once you've read, you've solved questions, man, at first time when you're trying to solve the question, they may challenge you. The questions might be challenging, but try to solve them at that point before continuing. So if you're able to solve them, you already overcome that. And one thing is that solving questions, you make you understand the concept far better, far easier, and far easily than you just reading slides alone. So it's really very important that you master the habit of solving questions. Now let's see some of the reasons why you need to solve questions. So some of the reasons, one of them is that it will you get to know the various forms the question can come, right? So you already know, okay, let's say question, you're given a question a plus b, that one is in your slide. You have that particular example in your slide, a plus b equals to c, right? The example can come like c, can even be b plus a equals to what? So something like that. I'm just trying to use this illustration as a way to give you a mental picture of what this point really is. So you really need to like once you are able to solve questions, you'll be able to know the various forms the question can come. The truth is that no new question, even if there are new questions, they are always a modification of old questions. So you need to like embrace this habit of solving questions, solve past questions, and solve relevant past questions. Not just going online and pick one question that are given as exam question for some different school. No, know the kind of question you should solve. There are questions, there are practice questions that will be given to you sometimes by the lecturers. So you should solve those kind of questions. Don't push solving questions to few days to exam. I know sometimes the time might be short. You might probably have limited time sometimes, and maybe you don't have enough time to have solved it. So, but it's really very important that you plan yourself so well. Like just plan yourself so well and ensure that you solve PQs before going to the exam. Have this rule, like put it as a rule. Always solve questions before going to exam. Don't go to any exam without solving questions. Another point why you need to solve PQ is that it gives you speed. Now, many a times chemistry tests, a chemistry exam are always like of short time. Like the time is always limited sometimes. So there's always a need for you to like have prepared yourself with such kind of question. Like I've tried to solve similar questions before getting the exam. Or so someone that has solved the PQ will just see the question exam or already know how to like go about solving that question. But someone that's just seeing the question for the very first time might have to like start figuring out how to go about it. So this is a huge this is actually a huge contrast basically. So you need to learn this habit of solving PQ. So I think I have a quote here. We are what we do. We are what we repeatedly do. So excellence then is not an art but a habit. So this is a quote from Aristotle. So we are what we repeatedly do. If you solve past questions regularly, when you see similar question in the exam, you'll be able to do well. So excellence is not just a casual step, but rather a series of intentional steps that brings out a very good result. So you need to solve PQs actually. So another point is that you need to target good CA scores. Now another thing I would let you know is that in the University of Ibadan, CA really matters. Like it really matters. Like I can tell you, if you have a very good CA score, most likely you would have a good grade, like overall. Like the chance of you, the odds of you having a good score overall is very high. Although you still have exam, right? But taking the intentional step of trying to prepare so well for your for your CA is also maybe directly or indirectly also preparing you for the exam. So have a target for your CA. Okay, so during my time when we had our chemistry 176 then, which is now squeezed into your chemistry 102, so I could remember my CA for chemistry 176 was I think I had 37 over 40 in the CA, like the combination of the two CA, and exam I think I had 53 over 60, so that gave me 90 in the overall. No, the A start from 70, right? So if you are able to score something around 35 in your test, sometimes tests are always easier than exam, let me just put it that way. Test, because what you have to cover, what you have to read during test sometimes is always small compared to what you have to read for exam. So once you are able to do well in test is easier to pass, let me just put it that way, although not generally the case at all times, but sometimes it's always easier when you are determined. So when, let's say you have 35 in test, now exam is 60, right? Even if you have 35 in exam, for you to have 35 in test, you might definitely, the chance that you have more than 35 in the exam is going to be high. But let's say you have 35 in the exam, so 35 plus 35, that is already 70, and you already had your A. You already had A already. So you need to have a target for your test, have a target, and even for your exam as well. Please always have a target, right? It's always very important that you have a target. So when you have a target, you'll be able to work towards what you need. So during my session 176, I had a target of scoring very close to 40, actually, like 38. That was the plan. I had 37, so and the exam was smooth, so I was able to like add I had 90 in the course. So for my chemistry 126 was taken by two lecturers. The first lecturer, then I had 19 over 20 in the first test, right? So but the second test was taken by Professor Woods there. It was taken by Professor Woods. They had 6 over 20. Now combine the two test scores together, which is basically 25 over 40. I knew I had to do well in the exam if I was really going to have an A in the course. So after having the test score, the combination of the two test score, I was like, oh, this exam I must not have less than this for me to have an A in the course. So, and that was one of the one of the things I actually looked towards while I was preparing. Like I had that be at the back of my mind while I was actually preparing for the exam. So having a target is actually very important. So let's see some of the reasons also why you need to have a target for test scores. So some of the reasons here we have, okay, I think I omitted that in the slide, but I had already explained everything there in the explanation I give. Okay, all right. Okay, so this is it. Why target good test scores? So it gives you a sense of direction. Basically, if you have a this is what I want to score, now you're already aiming towards it. If you claim you want to score, oh, you just want to score 20 over 40, that will not be your portion, and that will not be your mentality as well. But let's say you want for someone saying want to score 10 over 40, you can already guess the kind of preparation that person is having or would have. So but for someone that wants to score 40, you need to like put in good effort, right? So another thing, sometimes CA are easier to pass. I've said it. The material to read are not as bulky as what you need to prepare with for exam. So good CA scores reduce your chance of failing. Actually, good CA score already position you for success. So you have to take note of that. So and one more thing is this: how do you approach the new semester? You also have to pray. You have to pray. So I'm going to explain this point with my own personal experience. The personal experience I had in 100 level. I could remember then in 100 level, yeah, during that period, after I had a CA score of 6 over 20, I knew the kind of course I was preparing for. I knew the kind of lecturers that are taking it. They would not lower their standard for everything, for anything, right? So I was like, oh, if I was going to have an A in this course, then I need to do something extraordinary. So um um sometimes when we apply all the principles I've said earlier on, sometimes they still feel so, but combining them with prayers will make your efforts more significant, will make your efforts reasonable actually. So then I was like, oh, I already have 6 over 20, yeah, so I need to like put everything to God in prayer. So and I could remember then in church, anytime we have a program in church, I could remember at that period of time we're having a retreat in my church, Citizens of Light Church, then at Paris Hotel in Ibadan, Citizens of Light Church. So I used to go to for service. It used to be a retreat during that period every Saturday. So one of the things I always do during that period, I was like putting this particular course to prayers. Like I was telling God, oh Lord, like this particular course, I must not fail it. This particular course, I need to have an A in this course. I need to 4 point this course, right? So that was a term then. That was how we see it. I need to 4 point this course. So and when it was close to the exam, like a day to the exam of this particular course, I almost fell sick. Like I knew I was weak. So I could not read that night, like to the exam, because I was a bit strong. Like I was a bit strong. I could not read. So after returning from church that particular night, in the night to my exam, or it was, I think the exam was Monday. So after returning from church, I returned late actually that very day. So I had to rest for some moment because I was strong in my body that very day. So I just rested. I almost slept all over for over the night. So, but luckily by God's grace, I woke up in the middle of the night around 10 p.m. So I went out to I think it was tech there, like faculty of tech. Though I won't advise you to read there because the mosquito there is crazy there. So I just prepared myself and went to that place to read. So I was up all through the night. I read for the whole night from that particular I think around 11 p.m. to 6 around 5:30 in the evening, in the morning rather. So I read all through. So basically what I was doing during that night was reading, revising the slide, because I've read the slide more than 5 different times before the exam. So I was just doing a revision and I was solving questions. Like basically I knew that night I focused it also for solving PQ. So after everything, I prepared, I went back to my hostel and prepared for the exam. So I went into the exam hall. After the exam, like there were a lot of people shouting, oh, this course is crazy, this course is this course is that. People were already grading themselves even before the even after the exam, or people already say, oh, I already know what I'm going to score, this exam is crazy. No, when you had to like the exam was like you having to pick, like you have to pick your answer from different similar questions, different similar options. And inorganic chemistry, actually a lot of stories there, a lot of explanations there. So we had to like pick many people were complaining that the options were actually too very similar, and it was actually true. Sometimes even at the point where you have to do some calculations, the difference, one might even be 0.2, 0.21, something. Just try to have a mental picture of a scenario at that particular time. So many people complain. So by the time the result was out in my department, with all respect to everyone, like out of about 94 students, only just 2 people had an A in the course. And me coming from 6 over 20 in the test, I still had to like 4 points in the course. I still scored over 70. So you could imagine the grace of God on that particular situation. It was actually nothing but the grace of God. So it's really very important for you to prepare, for you to pray, while you also work hard for your test and exam. You shouldn't just leave everything to your own physical efforts. there's also spirituality to it, right? You need to pray and put everything to God in prayers, right? So the conclusion is just that the second semester is truly a second chance, actually, right? And an opportunity for you to start afresh, read intentionally, and also practice consistently, and to aim better than before. Actually, this should be your target. I know basically that is definitely your target for the second semester. Like you need to probably having the intention of starting afresh, and with the hope of doing better than the first semester. So but all this will not come without you putting all the practical steps I've said earlier on. So although they are not limited to that, but something you also should be able to like discern when you are doing the right thing or the wrong thing. So but you need to like work better, smarter, and harder than you've actually done in the first semester. So work smartly as well. Work smartly. Don't just work blindly. So oh, so sorry. The conclusion was not having I the spelling. So it's never too late to be who you might have been. So this is a quote from George Eliot. I know many of you probably might wanted to have a very good score. Very want to probably end the 100 level your first year with a very good CGPA. You want to like end well. And let me say this, that if you're in Faculty of Science, if you end a session rather with a first class, you would be part, or you will be a recipient of the Dean's Roll of Honor. Your name will be published on the Dean's Roll of Honor. And if you are in the Department of Chemistry, I think for the last 2-3 years now, they've been a cash prize for anyone who has a first class result, a first class performance in each session. So I know you definitely want to like finish well. Your first year you want to finish well. You want to like have good grade as well. And probably the first semester has not been so good. There's been nothing home to write about, right? But I believe that with intentional steps, you also can still turn the situation around in your second semester, right? So I would encourage you to subscribe to this channel. When the videos are being released, when the PQs have been practice questions have been solved here, you'll be able to like see them, and I'm so sure they will really help you. So I want you to subscribe to the channel, please like and share also. So we are going to have the next speaker comes up now. We're going to have the next speaker who is going to also speak with us, and then thereafter we're going to have question and answer session. So you can always drop your questions in the chat box and they will be responded to. So yeah, let's have the next speaker on the call.